What's up guys, I'm Ryan Maker from RC Maker, and today I'm going to introduce you to our brand new product, the RC Maker 3D Pro Shock Restrictors. Check it out. The idea behind our 3D Pro Shock Restrictors is to actually create a fixed gap between the shock tower and the suspension arm. This is beneficial for quite a few things, and basically you can't do this any other way without creating a turnbuckle that actually fits between where your shock absorber normally goes. So you can see in a little laser engraved jar here, we've got 4 of these. They're 3D printed, extremely high quality. You'd almost think they're molded, the quality is that good. And basically what they do is they clip to the shock shaft. So as you can see here, they very easily clip on and off like that, and they spin around. Obviously they're not super tight, as we don't want to damage the shock shaft or anything like that by making them super tight. And what that then does is that then limits and restricts the amount of movement in the suspension arm. And then we're creating a turnbuckle here because these are extremely accurate to within 0.05 of a millimeter between all 4, and it's actually not taking into account the shock shaft length or anything. This is basically making the exact same gap between that point and that point on all 4 corners of the car. And you might think, why is that beneficial? Well, the first thing we can actually use it for is detweaking our shock towers. So whilst we normally will detweak the car by lifting the front and the rear up and seeing which side comes up first, that's with the springs and everything on. We want to do this without the springs. So what we can actually do is do the tweak exactly the same way by lifting it up. Obviously make sure your droop and everything and your chassis is flat prior to doing this. And then if one wheel is coming off the ground before the other one, you're actually going to be looking at the front shock tower and how flat it is. So when you tighten your shock tower, it's not always going to be exactly perfect. So this gives you an amazing way to actually detweak your shock towers before doing it through the springs. Because you might be actually doing it through the springs when it's the shock tower at fault. So if you can get the shock towers as flat as possible, then that's obviously the best for then going to detweak the car once the springs and everything and the shock retainers are on the car. So basically what we're going to do is just lift them up. If your the left and the right wheel aren't coming off at the same time, it basically means that you've got a tweak in your rear shock tower and your rear shock tower is not flat. So loosen all 4 screws, figure out which way you need to twist the shock tower to get them flat again, redo them up, and then start again. So just keep doing this to the back and the front. This one's been done already, so it's all good to go. But it's extremely beneficial because once you get the shock towers in the right position and you've got no tweak through your shock towers, once you then go and put your springs and everything on and detweak the car, then it's going to be an awful lot easier. You're probably not going to have to do as much difference between the left and the right because you've diagnosed the problem at the source. The second great use for this tool is actually on the weight scales. So you guys probably own a set of these scales, and it's very important when balancing your mid-motor touring car to have the ability to adjust the front to rear weight bias and obviously also make the left and right balanced. So these scales are really handy. It's going to tell you the force that each of these wheels is exerting, and then you can balance it, and it's going to give you a percentage front to back. So yeah, they're really handy. A lot of the pro guys use these as well. So guys, normally when you have the shocks and everything attached, you're actually taking into account the spring preload when these wheels are actually pressing down on the scales. And what that means is that if your tweak is a little bit different, or one of these collars is screwed down more than the other one, it's going to actually put your tweak into the scales and it's actually going to show you a false reading. So the only way really to get the true weight balance of the car without any shock tweaks or preload differences or anything is to fix the distance between the top of the shock tower and the arm. The best way of doing this is using this tool. So as before, you literally just clip them into the bottom of the arm, put your car on the scales. Now you've totally isolated the weight of the car to be from the actual force of the corners of the car is exerting on the scales. So currently the shocks aren't doing anything. They're literally like a turnbuckle between the top and the bottom. So this is extremely helpful because we can actually then get an accurate reading on the true weight of the car. And then later on we can put our shocks on and everything. But for now, it's a really, really great way to figure out the exact weight balance of the car without having any external things acting on it. So guys, throughout this whole video, I've been actually using some tweak wheels. You can use any tweak wheels as long as they're fixed. They're the most accurate way to check all of the tweak on the car and to check the weight balance of the car as well. These will fit every single low profile shock touring car. Doesn't matter if it's super low shocks, ultra low shocks, it'll fit the X-Ray T420, 19, BD10, BD9, Infinity IF14 too. Basically all of the latest touring cars, obviously except for Automatics because it doesn't have shocks. So guys, these are available now. They come in a set of 4, which is all you need. They come in this little laser engraved tin to keep them all nicely organized and not flying around in your pit. These are available now. So guys, jump online, check them out. If you've got any questions, feel free to hit me up and I'll answer as soon as I can.